And I see
Hi, Melissa.
it starts at 10.
Oh man, I can't hear you.
I was thinking it would start at 9:30.
No, it's me. Huh?
I thought it started at 9:30, but I looked at the thing and it starts at 10.
Yeah, it starts at 10.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I was saying 9:30. It's like we have to go.
Well, Angelica said she was gonna be on.
Right?
Angelica said she would be on like at 9, around 9:30 to just welcome people. 9:40.
Okay. I was wrong, Jana. For some reason I was anxious because I thought it started at 9:30.
Oh,
Thing.
well, it's better to be early than late, right?
Right. So I'm gonna mute and stop my video. I have talent search I submitted to grads.gov, and then I wrote to Nozomi, and then EOC I put together and submitted to Nozomi this morning. So Nozomi just emailed me, called me, so I'm gonna call her.
Oh gosh, yes.
They both need to be submitted ASAP. So see you guys in a little bit.
Okay.
Jana, I have an idea.
Yeah.
I've been trying to work with this group called Education Incubator. I'll send you the link. But I attended one of their moonshot labs, is what they're called. And it's really like problem-based learning. It was a while ago, but I just never found a way to work with them. But I'm wondering if we could use them to consult with on how we integrate all of these programs together.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're free or available or what the deal is, but I figured I'd check with you first and then reach out to them.
Let me tell you, I am always, always, always open to anything that can help us improve or learn or grow. But yeah, no, and I appreciate you presenting the idea because, yeah, like, I think that's a great idea because I don't really know where to start either. I mean, not that I'm saying you don't know where to start, but I'm saying like it would be good to have, yeah, if somebody has more experience in it than we do, then that's great.
Okay. Well, I don't know who's recording. I just noticed the button. That's probably Angelica. We can ask her to cut us out.
It's not recording right now, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it is. Okay. Sorry.
Sorry, Angelica. We're on too early.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna stop video and mute till she comes on.
Okay.
Hi, ladies. I'm going to make you guys co-hosts.
Hi, Angelica.
How are you doing?
Doing well. We came on just a little early and then realized it was recording. So I'm sorry if it started.
That's
really
okay.
For those of you who are joining us, you can put your name and where you're from in the chat. Also, I see people from Upper Bound Programs. I'm curious if any talent search are joining us today. I know it's a busy time for talent search. Hi, Angelo. Am I saying that correctly?
Hopefully we'll have some talent search people on. You know, Melissa, as you said, you've submitted yours. I know a number of people have submitted theirs, so, but it's okay if we don't. We will start in a couple of minutes. Hi, Timothy. Hi, Herman. We're happy you're here with us.
It's fun watching everybody come in. We were so nervous this morning.
Hey, you guys are wonderful.
We were on since 9:30, everybody.
I did see you guys come in really early. I got a little nervous. All right, well, it's 3 p.m. Eastern time. So why don't we go ahead and get started? My name is Angelica Vilpondo. I do not have my screen on or my video on. You do not want to see me today. But we thank you. I'm from COE, and we thank you for coming to bring out the inner STEM interests in your Upper Bound Talent Search students by using problem-based learning. We have 3 wonderful presenters with us today. The format is a little bit different if you've come to any of our other webinars. We're doing this in a meeting type meeting type space where if you want to put on your video, we would love to see your faces. You'll come up on the side or on the top, depending on how you have it, as they do have a PowerPoint presentation. This is being recorded. You will receive a recording of this. It takes us about a week. We upload it to YouTube and then we send the PowerPoint presentation and the recording out at the same time. So be on the lookout for that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on my side. I don't think so. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the three presenters. They are going to introduce themselves and be on our way. One last thing real quick is that I said before, first, we would like for you to put in the chat where you're from and what program that you're representing today. And second, if you want to put your video on so we can see your smiling face, that would be lovely. Most of the nation were in our afternoon, but in Hawaii, they are still in their morning. And so they would love to see your beautiful, wonderful afternoon faces, okay? Turn it over to Melissa, Jamie, and Jana.
Welcome, everybody. As Angelica said, we're from the University of Hawaii, Maui College, and it is morning here, and we're excited to see you today. My name is Melissa Bonin, and I have over 17 years of experience working in TRIO programs, from talent search to EOC to student support services to most recently Upward Bound and Upward Bound math science. Our journey in STEM education began in 2009 when I started working for Upward Bound, and we've been fortunate to offer the project that we're going to talk about today for 7 times during 7 summers. And we're just really excited to share it with you today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jana Wilkinson. I'm the Upward Bound Director at the University of Hawaii, Maui College. And I've been in my role a little over 4 years now, and I've had the opportunity to implement the problem-based learning project Stimulate for all 4 years.
Hi, everyone. I am Jamie Nanasi Davis. Everybody calls me Nasi. My background is in social work. So all of these STEM people are super intimidating. But as a social worker, I love process. So I think that's why I like problem-based learning. Anyways, my background's in social work and education and working with Native Hawaiian families and youth. I started my career right out of college as an Upward Bound advisor and did some other things, went on a journey, and I'm so excited to be the Stimulate coordinator and working with Upward Bound programs again. I told Angelica we were on here like half an hour early, and I went out and I picked some flowers to pass the time and try to relax. And if we were in person, I'd like totally give a flower to each of you for showing up today and to just be present even with all of the craziness going on. And just I figure all of you guys are here because you want to hear about different things going on and ultimately for the students, which we are all here to. On the next slide, Melissa is going to share about her inner desire to do better for the students too.
Thanks, Nasi. Yes, you might be wondering why Project Stimulate. So when I was a new Upward Bound director, I simply implemented the summer program as it had been done before, hiring many of the same teachers. And as I looked around and talked to students and surveyed them, they definitely were not being challenged. And I don't think they're very engaged in the education piece. I just thought we can do better. So this was like 10 years ago. So I sent an email to the listserv, and it might be different now, but I asked, what curriculum do you use in the summer? What standards might you have? Because the quality of education really varies between teacher to teacher. And I didn't even get one response back. So I went on a journey thinking about what is the best thing I can give our students. And we had lots of brainstorming sessions with our Upward Bound staff. We reached out and we had included our students and our student leadership team. And the one thing that I came up with, the best thing that we can give our students is a love of learning, to just ignite this passion in them, that they want to explore STEM and that they are challenged. So around the same time, I met a STEM faculty member at our campus, Dr. Miraslani, and he had done these problem-based learning, industrial problem-solving workshops with graduate students and undergraduate students and professors, where companies came in and gave a real-world problem. And he had saw the way that that had transformed the students and engaged them after they had participated in that program. So we translated that to our high school students in Upper Bound, and that's where it began.
This entire process is inspired by students and made possible through the students. So we're going to start off with a student-created video highlighting the Project Stimulate, an industry-aligned problem-based learning experience.
Project Stimulate is all about problem-based learning, where we get a problem and we have to use what we learn as we go on to solve that problem.
So in the beginning of our class, we were assigned with a real-world issue, and our issue was Hawaii is facing water shortage. So along with that, we are assigned with a project, and this project is a presentation and a very long report that we have to present at the end of the 4th week of program.
Lately, seeing the statistics and the graphs and stuff, there's not much clean water in the ground, and especially with tourism rates bumping up, it takes a lot of water out from our ecosystem, and soon the generations to come won't have any more.
To me, the main focus of Project Stimulate, other than learning things in the educational sense, I think it's more about real life things and things that are actually happening in the real world, and how important it is to remember all these things that are happening and finding possible solutions.
So along with Project Stimulate, we go on many field trips. We went to Pailoko, and that's a lo'i farm, and we went to Yao Valley. Each time we met up with Ikevai, and Ikevai is an organization working to improve our water situation. But we had representatives from Ikevai that were also representing the Hawaiian community. And every single time they had explanations or stories of things like the lo'i farms that we used to have and how it could relate to our water issues.
Because we went to many places like Pailoko and lo'i patches, and we learned a lot about the history of the water, I feel like that's important to remember how it was before it, especially even now with the shortage.
The experience was good. We got to meet new people and stuff, and I got to actually get to learn more of real world issues and how to write papers and do sideshows. But I learned from field trips, we went to Pailoko. I learned how they only use their own water that's there, and then we went snorkeling on one trip. We looked at the condition of the ocean and how you can tell if it's clean, if it's dead or stuff like that.
I've learned a lot in terms of research and how to properly research a lot of things that you would need for a science project. Genuinely, I really like Project Stimulate.
We watched that video 100 times, and I always, watching it just makes me realize that the students just captured everything that we needed to say in our presentation in a 3-minute video. But hopefully we'll go over the next couple of things and it'll make what they said a little bit clearer. So you must all be wondering, what is the Project Stimulate model? Project Stimulate is founded on the tenets of problem-based learning. Over the course of, like Melissa said, around 7 years, we've really refined, our definition and what aspects of problem-based learning we've used in our program. And so we'll just share with you the 5 most important tenets that we thought of, that we've been using. Number one is that it's real world focused, that the problems are real. They're not hypothetical questions, or they're not case studies, but problems that scientists, people in their communities and leaders are actually working on. Number two is that it's student-centered and student-driven. So students are really the one leading the learning process. They have the responsibility to learn. The teachers or adults are really just the facilitators of the process, and they're offering support and guidance along the way. Number three is collaborative group work. So we all know in our adult life, in our world, that nothing gets done alone. And so how do we pass on this idea that of working in teams is a critical component of everyday life? And so we really emphasize students working in groups. Number four is open-ended outcomes, where the direction of the study isn't necessarily known. It's scary to teachers and it's scary to directors that we don't necessarily know where things are going or where things are going to happen, but this is super important to the problem-based learning process. And number five is interdisciplinary approach, where people of multiple disciplines, different perspectives and backgrounds are needed to holistically understand the problem and find solution pathways. As you heard in the video, being from Hawaii, a lot of what we try to do is integrate Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian cultural perspectives to honor the place that we're in, as well as the traditional knowledge that is present. Project Stimulate uses those 5 tenets. We've operationalized that into 3 different components. And at the heart of the Stimulate model is the student summer course. It's designed specifically for upper bound summer programs. And the summer course is meant to fit nicely into all of your summer programs. And of course, it aligns with all the upper bound program requirements and meets objectives. So this shouldn't be like an added thing you need to do, but it's rather another way to reimagine how your summer courses look like. We found that we've needed to provide teacher training to the instructors we hire for the summer, as well as the college student tutors. And so we have a teacher training component, and it just helps give them added skills and the mindset that allows for rigorous and creative student experience in STEM problem-based learning. And the third component is an internship, and it fits nicely to have the STEM partner offer some kind of internship program to the students who participate. On the next slide, Jana is going to actually talk about how Maui Upward Bound has operationalized the problem-based learning tenets.
All right, so one thing that I absolutely love about the PBL model is, again, the real world problem. You watched, I observed the students when they do tackle on something like a water shortage on Maui, they really take ownership of that because it's something that's a real problem within their community. And it's a very student-centered approach where, like Nasi was saying, the instructors are the facilitators. And I've seen kind of, and some teachers may need a little additional training because it is hard to kind of let go of that traditional classroom structure. But when you watch it unfold as the students lead their learning process and the teachers are there to just facilitate, you see a lot of growth and learning within the students because they get frustrated and they want to be told the answers, but they, in the end, they learn to become investigators and figure out the solutions as a group too. So that's not just their own, they're not alone in resolving this problem, but they're working in teams of like 4 to 5. And it's also, they're giving like the overarching topic. So it's again, the example is the water shortage on Maui, but each group kind of tackles a solution that's different from one another. So it's an open-ended outcome. And one of my favorite days and things that I look forward to in this whole process is the STEM Symposium. So it's presentation day, and as you saw in the video, the students really dress up, and they take great pride in what they've learned throughout the 6 weeks, and all the information that they've gathered. They've put it in this really great presentation, and they get to present that to the community members we partner with, their peers, and subject matter experts, and then prominent figures on our campus come and observe their presentations. And another really neat aspect is the interdisciplinary approach. So again, the teachers are the facilitators, but I try to make sure that we hire a math instructor, a science instructor, and then an English. And that way, if different issues arise, if a student is collecting data and they don't really know how to create a graph to present that information, we have that math instructor on hand. And if it's, the science part, creating your hypothesis and things like that, the science teacher is perfect for that assistance. And then we have, of course, the English teacher that can help with the technical writing piece for the reports and the slides and all of that.
So we wanted to give some examples of these problems and partners so you have a better understanding of what this might be. And sometimes when projects are considering implementing the Stimulate model, they might think, oh, I don't know if we have industry partners. But sometimes a partner can be not a STEM industry, but a partner with a STEM question. So we'll give some examples of that. Our first partner was Ko'i'i Fish Ponds. And the question was, how can we improve the health of the fish ponds? So students were in the fish ponds about 2 times a week. They were doing fish counts, they were measuring, there's sedimentation deposits from the runoff, they were measuring the volume of that, they were learning about waves and wave action. They actually, on the days that they weren't there, they were calculating using Google Maps, and they were led to actually use calculus to figure out the volume of the sedimentation deposits. And they didn't even know it. So that was just a really cool outcome of that problem. Another partner we had is Huiova'a Kaulua, and that's the Maui Polynesian Voyaging Society. The question was, how can we find a sustainable voyage from Maui to Tahiti? We had Pacific Disaster Center as a partner, and the question was, how can we mitigate the negative effects of sea level rise? And we also had Johnson Controls with the question, how can Hawaii move to 100% energy from renewable sources? Which is a real question in Hawaii. We have a legislative mandate that Hawaii has to move to using 100% renewable energy by 2045. So those are some examples. And you might wonder, what makes a good STEM partner? First of all, that they can provide a real world problem and mentor the students along the way. Ideally, we would be at the site 1 to 2 times a week. And you can supplement that with field trips. So for example, Pacific Disaster Center was wonderful. 1 day a week, they had our students, they have all of this large facilities, they dedicated many mentors, they have technology, and it was great to be there, but they only wanted us 1 day. So the other days we supplemented with field trips. So someone from the UHC grant met us at a place where there's a lot of beach erosion, where the beach had actually eroded all the way up to buildings. Another day they went to the water treatment facility, which is on the edge of the ocean. And so sea level rise would have a big impact on that. And then also they went to a cultural site where sea level rise would pretty much wash away that site. So they had different field trips to supplement. And Johnson Controls doesn't even have a large facility in Hawaii. So all that year, we had multiple upward bound programs across the state of Hawaii, and they all did field trips related to renewable energy instead of even going to the site. But the partner did come and visit and talk to and mentor the students. Another really helpful thing is if the partner can discuss career options at the organization and also personally talk about their journey towards their career. So students can have some career exposure and learn that pathways to STEM aren't always just linear one way, that there's lots of different pathways that people take. Finally, it's good if they serve as a judge in your STEM symposium so they can give the students feedback, and the students can get feedback from real professionals in the field. And you might be nervous to approach a partner, but we found partners just really love working with our program, and that makes a good partner too if they're excited about it. A lot of larger companies have missions to provide educational outreach, so that kind of checks the box for them, and they were really enthusiastic about working with us. So now we're going to delve a little deeper into problems with NASI.
So the problem-based learning process, we figured out that we needed to label the process. And there's 3 stages in what we call problem deconstruction. The first stage is the problem topic statement. This is your macro, your big picture statement of the problems that's given to the students. It provides general information, an overview and context. It's broad enough so that there's multiple avenues of investigation. The problem topic statement is provided by the STEM partner, and it's co-developed with the teachers and/or the upper bound director staff. Second is the issues. So after the students are provided with the problem topic statement, they'll brainstorm all the different issues that are identified within the problem topic statement. And from those issues, the students will actually form groups around the topic that interests them the most. Teachers, of course, facilitate the process and oversee that all the group dynamics are okay and things of that nature. And finally, students will develop a problem topic statement specific to their own group. And from that problem topic statement, just for their own group, they will develop a hypothesis that guides their investigation process. Of course, teachers facilitate the process and coordinate that essential process, and the STEM partner provides learning experiences and mentorships along the way, and of course, Upper Bound oversees anything that happens during the course. Okay, this is the fun part, everybody. This is your activity. We want to actually take you through the first and second stage. So this is a problem topic statement that you heard the students talk about in the video. This is the problem topic statement that they actually received. So I want all of you, I know you have your Post-its or you have a piece of paper lying around. I'm gonna read through this super slowly so that I don't get too nervous reading, and for you to take notes. So anything that pops out at you, any questions, any possible issues. We've thrown in hints in here for the kids so they could get started on resources, so you can write those down. Any questions you have, or just anything about the problem topic statement, just jot down on your Post-it and your paper. I'm gonna take a sip of water. I'm gonna read and you can read along too. Okay, so there are numerous ways in which water is an essential component of life. From germinating a seed to helping nutrients reach all the cells and organs and tissues of a plant or an animal, not only is water a necessary component of all living things, it keeps the earth and various ecosystems healthy and alive as well. Rainfall is the source of fresh water for the islands of Hawaii. And this water is filtered and stored in the ground. This filtration process of rainfall can take thousands of years. So the water that I'm currently drinking might be thousands of years old. Traditions and knowledge from Native Hawaiians have helped preserve and sustain much of our water sources. However, there are recent concerns about the limits of Hawaii's long-term fresh water supply. More information and research is needed. Again, more information and research is needed to understand Hawaii's water sources. Incubator is working towards understanding the problem and working towards solutions of water security. Solutions for water security. Current research projects include an integration of modern science and technology, as well as Native Hawaiian perspectives and knowledge base. Incubator recommends reading A Blueprint for Action, Water Security for an Uncertain Future, which provides a good overview of the problem and a set of solutions that will put Hawaii on the path towards water security. I'm gonna take another sip of water so you can finish up your notes. Thanks, Melissa. Okay, so you should all have your little Post-it notes or your little papers with all the interesting things and questions and ideas. And Jana's gonna explain the Jamboard, but when she explains the Jamboard, just remember that for each sticky note, we want just one idea, thought, or question per note.
All right, everyone. So in the chat, I just posted a link to our Jamboard. So if you could click on that, and in the meantime, I'm going to share my screen. All right, if you haven't used Jamboard before, here's a quick explanation. So on the left here, you'll see the different items or icons. And the one that we're going to focus on using today is the sticky note. So the fourth one down, if you want to click on the sticky note, you can choose what color you'd like to use to post. I'm going to choose blue, and write in your idea for a solution to the topic. So I'm going to say, can we make drinking water? And then just hit save and get out of that. And you'll see that it just pops right up there on the board. So we would love to see your ideas. Just remember, this is a brain dump, no wrong answers. This is our brainstorming session. So please put in as many as you'd like, and we'll take a couple of minutes for you guys to fill this all out. And I'm going to stop sharing for now, and we'll go back to the problem statement so you guys can see that. And then eventually we'll come back and take a look at the Jamboard as a group.
Perfect. I'm going to set my timer for 2 minutes just so that we can stay on track. We can add in -2, but I see everybody adding. I see there's 18 people on the Jamboard. We have about 48 people participating. So if you're not on the Jamboard, that's okay. If you have any notes, you can go ahead and post it in the chat, and we will put it onto our Jamboard. I also see that that as people are populating, we're already starting to move those Post-its into categories, or we will be moving. The idea is that we all brainstorm and we think of all the possibilities and we categorize after. We have about 10 seconds left, so if you haven't posted a post-it yet, please do so. Okay, cool. We have so many things. Melissa, can we go back to our Jamboard?
I'll take us back.
Or, yeah. I think this is pretty full. It's pretty full. So we could spend a few more minutes. If this was a class, we could spend a few more minutes categorizing things and adding more stuff. I see some super interesting ideas. Yeah, and you know, we would do this activity with students on first or second day and continue to revisit their brainstorming as they hear more from mentors and from the STEM partner and refine their ideas. Probably by the end of the week is when we would put them into groups according to their topic of interest or their issue of interest. And yeah, how do we capture rainwater? And to think this is real stuff. This is really what our scientists in Hawaii are thinking about, and probably applicable to the place you live too. Like, where does your water source come from? Yeah, this is so much fun. We could spend like a bunch more time going through this, but I want to get back to our presentation. So I'm going to let Melissa and get back to our presentation. And Jana's actually going to talk about the presentation, she's going to talk about the presentations the students did and what they came up with after going through this process.
All right, so some of the ideas that you guys came up with were also similar to the solutions that the students presented. So I noticed on the Jamboard that someone mentioned desalination of plants. Well, here we are in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So one of the things that the students presented as a solution was to test different methods of desalination to see if it was energy efficient to convert salt water into drinkable water. So in the top left are the 4 different methods that they tested. They also looked into, as Maui is rapidly developing, so there's a shortage of the clean water, and a solution for developers is to use pervious concrete. So the water, this will prevent the runoff, and then allow the water to seep into the aquifer. And another solution was the cloud fishing and water conservation technology. So this technology to harvest the moisture from the clouds on the mountains, along with water conservation. And as you may have noticed in the video, a lot of the students mentioned going to the lo'i. And this is a very popular Hawaiian tradition where they grow lo'i, and this is also a form of food. And one of the solutions was to increase lo'i farming. And what that does is it's a natural filtration for the water. And then also it's another way to prevent runoff. So as you can see, they came up with some really great solutions, and it was really fun, like helping the students, providing the students with the materials they needed to do this. I mean, I've gone out and bought 80-pound bags of concrete, chicken wire, and all sorts of things so they can present and give demonstrations. So it's a lot of fun for me too. So again, the benefits of the problem-based learning model is the students do really receive an authentic learning experience. the way we have it set up is 4 days a week it's the class time in the morning, and at least 2 out of the 4 days they're in the field. And the way we're able to do that is for our summer program, we rent 15 passenger vans. So they have the opportunity to just get up and go and do the investigating on the sites, or they can go visit, they go to areas where there's guest speakers. And I love what the guest speakers are so appreciative of these students, because again, they have such ownership of the project. They're asking really engaging questions, and they really want to know the answers. And like I said, they take pride in the accomplishments. They dress up at the end when they're giving their presentations and the resolutions to the problem. There's that ownership. They become actual scientists. And I think the coolest thing too, especially with something that's so such a problem is the shortage on Maui, is they can become change agents. So now that they've gained the knowledge on what the problem is, I've heard them start educating family and friends and their community on resolutions to how we can preserve water on Maui. And another great benefit, of course, is they're learning these college skills. So they're working in groups. You know, ninth graders are starting out to do this. So they're sometimes writing reports, as you may have remembered in the video, as the student said, a very long report. But they get through it, and they get, like I said, it's a process, and it's a growing process. So sometimes there's a little frustration there, but I mean, and throughout that, frustration becomes a lot of growth. So they learn how to do the reports, they learn how to do the presentation. So that by the time they're going to college, like they're comfortable with these skills.
Okay, now we're gonna have a small group discussion. I know sometimes that's the time where everybody just wants to leave, but hang in there with us, because we really want you think about this a little bit more and to discuss it in a small group. So it's just gonna be a short time. We're gonna put you in small groups, and then we're gonna come back and talk about it. So like I said, hang in there, don't leave us. And we're gonna be popping into all the groups just to get a sense of what you're feeling about this, and we wanna know. So after the small groups, we'll come back. You can put your comments on some of the things you discussed in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and talk. So we're going to be talking about 2 questions. What features of Stimulate resonate with you? Because there's a lot of different features, and maybe there's something that fits for you and what you believe about your programs and want to give students. And the second question, are there aspects of STEM PBL you could incorporate into your program? So it might feel overwhelming to incorporate all of this, and we have resources to help you, and we're here to help do that. But maybe there's just one thing you could start to incorporate that would just make your program a little bit more exciting, or one thing you think, oh, this is a small step that I can take. So we're going to break into groups of about 4 to 5 people, and then we will pop back after about 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to put the information in the chat first, and then I will break people up into groups. Can you bring it back up, Melissa?
I'll put the second one in chat.
Okay.
Interesting.
Are you going to do that now?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm trying.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, perfect. So those are the 2, and then I'll populate that in the breakouts as well. They have a full 60 seconds to either hit, they're coming back, or it'll close automatically in 5 seconds.
Thanks, Angelica.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you for taking the time to talk through this. And we're curious, you can either unmute yourself and share or put in the chat either a feature that resonates with you or makes sense to you, or an aspect of STEM PBL, just one thing, because the whole thing might be daunting, just one thing you might be able to implement or change in your program or incorporate into your program.
Hi, I'll go. Our group talked about incorporating this maybe in just one class, and maybe having an English teacher help with that writing portion, and they help in that aspect, trying to incorporate another teacher, but not necessarily, everyone all at once, was something that we had discussed in our group. It's just sort of a small step towards maybe a whole program that's PBL.
That makes a lot of sense. More manageable to conceptualize just having one class, like a science class, and then having your English class support the writing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being the brave first one.
I think one question that I saw on the Jamboard is, how long does this take to implement? And I can just give a quick response to that is when, last summer we implemented our program online, which the PBL model still was successful. But we used the full 6 weeks to, it was 5 weeks of instruction. And then on the 6th week was reserved for the presentations. But normally when we do it in person, you can adjust it to fit the needs of your program. So we were doing it, when it was face-to-face, we were doing it 4 weeks. And then on the 5th week, they would do the presentations. And so that would be like Monday through Thursday, class time in the morning from 9 to noon. And then in the afternoon, they actually had their study hall sessions from 1 to 2:30.
And they take a college tour, their 6th week.
Yeah.
College exploration. So we're a little different here in Hawaii sometimes with our options.
I wanted to say that I've reached out to another program, a pre-service teaching program on campus. That way it saves us some money on teachers to help us, and it also gives us that younger dynamic. And so I think that could be helpful. It's a STEM pre-service teaching program, and they work with us and our students.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They might be more like willing to do something a little different and enthusiastic. It's a great idea.
I just wanted to say, I think it's great because it allows the students to develop or learn a new skill. And it's so many skills that, just listening to it that would resonate for me out of students engaging it in the summer. Plus, I like the hands-on, the research process that they gain, the questions they get to ask and learn, and even potentially come up with a problem. So I really love this concept.
Thank you for sharing. For comment in the chat. One thing to incorporate in the summer is regarding alternative energy and solar. Being virtual, we can provide students outside speakers, engineers from local colleges and businesses, and possibly provide them solar kits for hands-on interaction. They can follow through the final summary and video. Yes, that's absolutely, it's a great thing. I think maybe we've all dabbled in giving the students kits and supplies and doing virtual meetings. So, one thing we found and maybe you found this too, but being isolated in Hawaii, when we're doing in person, we're limited by our island, and our islands aren't interconnected. So with this virtual way of being and doing these days, we have speakers who are willing to join us from anywhere. They're more willing. And so it really expanded our reach for having experts come and join us, even in their presentations, and it's been kind of amazing. I mean, so that's been one positive of the situation.
Yeah, in the group that I was in, we talked about identifying a problem, and it's really just finding that community organization, whom we call the STEM partner, to work with you. And I think we said this previously, like most organizations have in their mission to work with students. So a lot of them like want to reach out to students, and upper bound programs, you know, we got a lot of kids. We got a lot of students who are servicing. So we fit their need as well. So it's not only us asking them to be a part of our program, but it's also we fulfill a need that they need to accomplish as well. In the 3 or 4 years that I've done it, the second year was Ikevai that you guys all see, and with all the experts and people that came to talk to our students, there's actually one that approached us to be the STEM partner for the next year. So it's kind of like once word got around that this is the kind of stuff we were doing, people started approaching us. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I had heard that too, like hard to imagine a STEM partner donating this much time, but they are willing. I mean, we've had a few that we've approached and they weren't willing and they were concerned. And then you just move on, right? We had ones that wanted us to pay them to do it. And then we had ones that were like, well, your students will never be doing this. So like, okay, we're gonna move on. You know, we don't believe that. But we've found partners, especially like larger industry, I think, because they have missions to serve the community and do educational outreach. And also some of our nonprofit organizations, like the fish ponds, asked us real questions that they wanted to know. And they don't have a team of experts. So they actually really enjoyed our presentations and used it to look at what's going on and move forward. So that was a time, and we partnered with them 2 different years, but they found that the feedback the students gave them really helped them think about some of their solutions and their problems. Any other questions or comments or things that you talked about? Or maybe things you didn't and questions you do have? One thing that came up in one of the groups that I did is the idea that the student presentations really resonated. And we think that that's a really important component of this, as well as presenting in front of judges. The students really just step up. They're really nervous. They're really anxious about it. And to see them present, it's just like, wow. They usually dress up and they really practice, and they really, I mean, I learn from their presentations. I've been so impressed every single time I've gone to symposium, and the judges, you know, add that level of they're actually getting scored by real world professionals that are judging their performance and their work that they have done. Are there any other questions or comments?
And how many students did you have for this project or for this PBL?
So for our campus, we have 3 grants. We have 2 Upward Bound Classic and 1 Upward Bound Math Science, excuse me. And we've implemented mainly through the Upward Bound Math Science grant. So we'll have up to 25 students that participate. Although we did get the National Science Foundation grant where we've kind of branched out with the other islands. So we partner a little bit with like the Big Island and then also Oahu. So it's, the numbers have varied. This year, because we are going virtual for the summer program, I am actually going to implement the PBL model for my entire program. So I'll try it with up to 100 students.
Wow, okay.
A lot of times in classes, we've tried to have about 20 to 25 in our class, but it could be multiple classes and there's probably different ways. I think we've toyed with the idea sometimes rotating teachers, the teacher team and mentors through different classrooms, students. I'm sure you can all be creative too in how you would do it.
I would also say like for optimal collaboration and synergy, you probably want a minimum of 12 students. So you could put them into groups of 4 and there'd still be enough of them that they could synergize, and the group dynamics between the little groups of 4 and the big group of 12, the class size of 12, you'd still have like a good energy to keep the momentum.
Good.
Any other questions before we move on? Or thoughts? Okay, well, thank you all for sharing. It's good to hear a little bit what people in the field and other places might think about this. And we have some resources for you. Nasi, if you want to share.
Yeah. Sorry, those 7-second pauses are really hard as a facilitator. Good job, Melissa. Okay, so Project Stimulate resources. We have, like I said, the program has been created specifically for Upward Bound summer programs, and we have everything you need to get started. And it's meant to be within your program. So nothing added, nothing new. It meets the math, science, English components because all of that is in one course. So what we have a course syllabus, we have an outline of the days, we have all these science, logic, communication modules. They're pre-recorded videos, there's worksheets that go along with it, and as well as teacher lesson plans. We have problem-based learning teaching activities and materials to help your teachers that you hire and even the college student mentors, get them in the mindset of problem-based learning. We are working on a website and we're hoping that if there's enough interest, there could be more workshops to come regarding implementation.
Nasi, do you think we have a link that we can share, or do we need to have someone email to give permissions? I forget.
I'm wondering if Angelica, if we could maybe package it and we could distribute it after.
Yeah, so what you could do is if you can put them all in a document or however you want to package, we'll send it out with the recording and the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, right now I have everything on like a Google Drive.
That's okay. If you have to decide if you want people to to do access to share, send you an email on the Google Drive, or copy it where everybody can just see it if they get the email. It doesn't matter to me, you decide,
Okay.
but we'll send it out to people when we send out the recording and the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, sounds good. I can do that.
All right, well, that ends our presentation for today. I thank you all for hanging out with us and hopefully learning some good information of what you can do to implement the Project Stimulate or problem-based learning model and your Upward Bound programs. I just want to do a special thank you to Amir Asani, who is the principal investigator and co-founder. And then Nahid Nariman is the project researcher, and David Ryder is our project evaluator. And then Louis Hokaana, who is the principal investigator and also our chancellor at UH Maui College. And the funding was provided, the funding for the last 3 years for the project was provided by the National Science Foundation. Oh, and mahalo to you, Reggie, for hanging out with us.
And thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And like I said, we're really excited because the intent of this project was to share with the TRIO community, especially Upward Bound Math Science. And I know that Talent Search now has more STEM components into.
Well, we thank you for joining us today. This concludes our webinar. As we said just a minute ago, we will send the PowerPoint presentation, the materials that they talked about within the presentation, and this recording out. It takes about a week and a half, so be on the lookout for it, all right? We thank you again for being here with us, and this concludes our webinar.